Cause and Effect, a Mentally Matter story. There's quite a story to how I ended up at the job I currently hold, and it starts at another job, funny enough. Back then, I dropped out of my study after finishing high school, and through people I know, I got a simple full time job in a construction store, which honestly was a bit of a smack to the face, going from unemployed to 40 hours a week, but after about a month, that had settled. But I still struggled a lot with my depression and overall mental health back then. But I pushed on, and for the most part, it went okay. I did good work, kept on schedule, and learned some new skills, but this would all come crashing down on a Thursday. I was working as usual and was asked to clean up one of the shelves. Nothing major, but as I stepped on the pedestal to reach higher up, suddenly it went dark. My breathing halted, and I almost fainted. Luckily, someone watched it happen and was able to escort me to the back, where I could sit for a second and regain sentience as I was a bit out of it. When I was more back to normal, I noticed my throat was still very shut and I couldn't breathe properly, feeling I recognized. For context, I have a medical condition that essentially means my esophagus is chronically inflamed. Granted, this may sound rough, but typically it isn't much of an issue, besides feeling slime in my throat sometimes more than others that can make swallowing hard, and give me some picky allergies that trigger, but I had learned to live with at that point. After drinking a bunch of water, which was typically my solution, it did fade a little, so I continued with some caution, but the issue remained for over a week. So I contacted my doctor, who prescribed me some medicine that would help with what was likely an allergic reaction of unknown origin, and it worked for about 2 days, before it stopped working completely and I was back at square one. After some fruitless attempts to fix the issue, I got an appointment to visit the doctor to take a better look. The appointment did actually have results, 2 of them to be precise. I was likely allergic to mortar, aka the stuff used to make cement, and I worked in a construction store where we had bags upon bags of the stuff. So for the sake of testing, I had to wear a mouth mask to work for a while. Then there was the other result, and that was that my throat responded to stress, meaning I was essentially allergic to it. And so the doctor booked me an appointment with their on-site psychiatrist just to see what's there. This would be a 20-minute appointment, about a week after the allergy was discovered. The mouth mask had little to no result, so this was the best chance to resolve the issue. For whatever reason, sitting in that room for the appointment just let everything loose from the past 10 years, which took the psychiatrist by surprise, and ended up having them send me through for some more professional help, and having more appointments until then. Sadly, due to health concerns, I had to leave that job and then spend a few months unemployed working on therapy. My dad wasn't too happy about the unemployment, so I made him a deal that once it was over, I would get a job ASAP. Essentially, after the vacation with my girlfriend, I saved money that would help me during unemployment to still do stuff like that. The weeks were long, and the days I had to go in for therapy were the longest by far. I'd always come out in a very depressed mood, which took all my power to do anything, but I was healing. Slowly. Things got better, and then there was the hardest day out of all of them, where, unlike being in a group as I usually was, I was alone with the psychologist, and they could really focus on me, which hit really hard. Especially the second half that looked into the trauma the whole work event left me with, because randomly passing out like that scared me a lot. Even thinking about going back to work in the future that day made my air pipe tighten. But I got there in the end, and fought through it, and a few days before the little trip with my girlfriend, I was running a chore for my parents and saw a sign by one of the stores saying that they needed employees. So I figured there would be no harm in asking, and somehow I basically walked out with a job. So after I came back from the trip, it was all made official, and I started working 16 hours. As time went on, and I finished therapy, it was going alright. No incident, no breakdown, just life. I started working on myself and growing in that job, and those 16 hours became 24, then 28. Then I did an internal study to get more responsibility at my job, and now that 28 became 32, with a view at even more growth. I'll admit that how I ended up finding the help I needed is terrible in a lot of ways, but it did help me get to where I needed to be, which now leaves me better than I've ever been. No matter how bad a situation may seem, you never know where it sends you. To everyone out there at their lowest, Just know that it may be what guides you to the light, even if you can't see it right now.